Now that you're a custom formatting expert, we're going to cover a few tips and tricks that'll help you efficiently and functionally format your worksheets with a professional look. Take a look at this income statement. I want historical and projected centered across these three cells like I do in this example here. In your previous Excel life, you might have used this merge and center option. I know you didn't know any better, but this is a terrible choice, and I'll show you why. Let's say that I merge and center these cells. So now I have projected in the center. But then my VP wants to eliminate the third projected year. Easy, I just select the column and delete it, right? The problem is, when I hold Control and hit spacebar to select that column, I select columns F and G too. Why is that? It's because Excel cannot select a single column where there's a merged and centered cell within that column. Another way of saying this is that it's impossible to select only a part of a merged and centered cell like we have this projected cell that spans from F to H. Now, this isn't the end of the world, because you could go up here and use your mouse to select the column and delete it like this, but that's not as efficient, and more importantly, it's going to really irritate anyone else working in your model if they have to do that because you merged and centered instead of a better alternative. The better way to accomplish this rather than merge and center is called center across selection. To start, I'm going to unmerge these cells. And now I want to make sure that I have my range selected across which I want to center my text. And then I'm going to hit Control 1. And instead of tabbing into categories, I'm going to arrow right to this alignment tab. And then I'm going to tab once to get to this horizontal text alignment. Right now it says General, that's the default. And if I arrow down, I'll open up this drop-down. You'll see that I have a few different options: left indent, center, right indent, fill, justify. You should recognize these from what you're used to using for aligning your text in a cell or even in Microsoft Word. The option we want to select is all the way down here at the bottom, Center Across Selection. When I hit Enter, and then Enter again, now that projected text is centered across my cells, but they're not merged. You'll see as I move across, I can select the individual cells. If I hit Control Spacebar, I can select an individual column. I'll go over here and do the same thing with historical. And then for the years, I'm just going to align center. On my black and white income statement, you'll see that I have these lines under historical, projected, and my years. It looks nice because the line spans the whole width of the section that I want to cover, but then there's a break between E and F, between historical and projected, and then between each of the years. How exactly do you create those underlines? If I were to select all this text and then hit Control U for underline, it doesn't look quite as nice. The underline is only the width of the text in each cell, and it doesn't give me that nice clean look that I have here. Instead of the standard underline, we're going to use something called the single accounting underline. And you get that by going to Control 1, and then arrow right to the Font tab, and here you'll notice this underline section. Do you see the line under the U? That means that you can hold the Alt key and then hit U to automatically jump to that drop-down menu. So I'm going to hold Alt and hit U. And my options are single, double, single counting, and double counting. If I go down to single and hit Enter and Enter again, this gives me the standard underline that you can access with Control U. Instead, if I go back, Alt U to get to underline, and then hit S for single accounting, and then hit Enter twice, now I get that nice, wide underline that gives me a really clean look. You'll also notice in this income statement, my gross profit, EBITDA, EBIT, pre-tax income, net income, these total lines are indented. Now I'm going to get rid of these and I'll show you how I put those in there. The amateur way to create these indentations is to go to the beginning of your cell and then put some spaces and go to this one and create some spaces. That's not the way that we're going to do it. The better way is to hit Control 1, go to the same alignment tab where you found Center Across Selection, and if you tab in to the same horizontal text alignment menu, you'll see Left Indent. That means we're aligning our text horizontally to the left. And now if you hit Tab one more time, you'll see this indent. If you arrow up one time, you have an indent of 1. If you hit Enter, you'll see that that text has been slightly indented. I can go back, tab in, change the indent to 2. And this is usually the amount that I will indent a subtotal line. Now I can go down to each of these and hit F4 and just repeat that indentation. If you have a piece of text, I'll demonstrate over here. Let's say you want to be right aligned. I can align it to the right. If I wanted an indentation, I could do the same thing. Control 1. You'll see that since I align this to the right, I already have right indent text alignment. And I can go in here and indent that, and it will move it 2 units to the left. The last little trick we're going to look at before moving on to conditional formatting is borders. If I select a range here and then hit Control 1 again, if I arrow to the right, you'll see this border tab. Now, we already talked about how you can use Control-Shift-7, and that'll create a border around the outline of the range I've selected. And if I do Control-Shift-, it will remove the border. Those are useful shortcuts, and you're going to use them a lot, but this Control-1 border tab gives you so many more options for customizing the borders. If I want a dashed outline around my selection, I can do that. Or if you want, you can go in here and be really specific. You can say, I want it only across the horizontal lines like this, and so now it'll just give me horizontal borders. You could do diagonal stripes. This tool just gives you a lot more flexibility. One thing that you will use a lot is this thick border. You can change the thickness of your border to create emphasis, and you can go to color and change the color of your border. You're going to find those pretty useful.